Alright, transition or passing chords here. So, for the most part, while we ascend here from chord to chord, we're basically just going up a half step at a time for the root note. So we're going C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. We stay on E when we're going from the E minor 7 to the E diminished 7 though. And then we go up a half step to F, half step to F sharp, half step to G. Then for the G, we go into the G augmented 7. I've also seen this written as G7 sharp 5. Basically come to the same conclusion. But hey, I usually stick with the way my teacher taught me, which is a G augmented 7. Anyway, basically when you take a major triad and you add, well, you take an augmented triad and add a flat 7. If you had an augmented triad and add in a major 7, I would be calling it a G major 7 sharp 5. So anyway, so this is like I learned about this as a substitute you can do for the augmented 7. You just raise the 5 up, so that creates a bit of a passing sound to it. So you have a bit more tension happening before we go up to the next chord. And then, so A goes up to the A sharp, and then A sharp to B. And then here is another spot where we stay on the same root note. So the half diminished 7 into a fully diminished 7, and then up a half step to resolve to the C major 7. So definitely something worth taking your time with. I'm going to run through this here. It's the old 60 beats a minute. And let's see what happens. One point of interest here, or something to talk about. So remember, when you're going from the major 7 to the diminished 7, all you got to do is flip your fingers on the A string and the G string. So see, the 3 goes up to the G string while the 4 comes down to the A string. So from this chord position here, basically these two fingers stay put, your 3rd and your 4th, but your 1st and 2nd, they just swap strings. Same frets, just they change the strings. See any other one. So the minor 7 is not too bad going into the diminished one. So your ring finger is an anchor point going from the minor 7 up to the diminished 7. Again, ring finger is your anchor point. When you go from the E minor 7 down to the diminished 7, well, everything's got to change on that one. However, even though you don't have the same frets being used anywhere in this chord, well, that's not true. It's the 7th fret's being used, but it's a different finger. Your ring finger is kind of an anchor point again, but what's happening is you're sliding your ring finger down a half step. So it does change frets, but it stays on the same string. So it's kind of an anchor point. Discuss that. So yeah, when you get to the augmented 7, the bar with your index finger, it stays there. You gotta just swap your ring and 4th finger around while your 4th finger goes up a fret. So ring finger stays on the same fret, just changes strings, while your pinky finger goes up a fret there. Now for the minor 7 flat 5 into the fully diminished 7, just like the major 7 chord, your ring finger and pinky finger stay the same. They don't move. You just swap those fingers out around there. So it's almost like the way the major 7 is changed to a diminished, except your middle finger goes down to the same fret, but the index finger goes up to the G string and down a fret. But that's a fairly convenient change right there. Alright, so let's run through this guy. Whoops, let me unhighlight that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just noticed another thing to help with the transitions. When you go from your F sharp diminished 7, you have like another kind of anchor point here. So the ring finger and pinky finger, they're going to stay down on the D and the B string here. So when you shift up to the G7, those fingers stay on the strings. They just slide up a whole step, and then you add the bar. So that might be a helpful thing to think about while you're running through this. All right, let's see how I do on the descending. So with this, because I like the way it sounds, for descending stuff, when you change the chord, keep the same root note, and you just change the chord into the diminished. So that's why we're going to be going E, stay on E for the E diminished 7, D minor 7 becomes a D diminished 7, and so on. With this, let's see if I can spot any helpful transition stuff. So with the diminished 7 here, remember the fingering that makes it much easier to do. Start with your middle finger, pinky, first, third. So that's second finger, fourth finger, first, and third. Let me see. Because going from the diminished 7 here down to the C major 7, pinky is going to be staying on the same string. It will need to move down a half step, but it stays on the same string. So here from the diminished 7, lift everything off except the pinky, shift down a half step, and then you get into that chord. And then getting into the C diminished 7, again, you'll take all your fingers off except the pinky. Pinky moves down a half step, and then, oh my goodness, that was terrible. There we go. That's how it's supposed to go. A little bit of a brain fart there. And actually, another good point here, I don't know how I missed that. So, going from the diminished 7, your ring finger, actually keep that down too. So the pinky and the ring finger both stay down. So you take your first two off, slide down a half step, and then put them down for the major 7. Now going from the major 7 to the diminished 7, again, we're going to take the first and second off, ring finger, pinky finger stay down, shift down a half step, and then put your second and first where they belong for the diminished chord there. The half diminished 7, I never bar that, because what happens is there's too much risk of hitting that extra note there on the B string. So I'm going to say, don't ever bar the minor 7 flat 5 when you're starting on the E string, when you're playing this shape, unless there's a very specific riff or whatnot, or a chord progression where it's just, you just can't get into this shape for whatever reason because it's too detrimental. But anyway, for the most part, doing it like this is your goal here. Which also helps with getting into the diminished 7. Because again, your pinky and your ring finger do not move. So they are true anchor points for this shift. Because they stay on the same frets. So you're just going to swap your middle and first finger around here. First finger goes from the 7 down to the 6 though. And then, now the minor 7, yeah, it's totally fine to bar that because if you strum all 6 strings, you're still playing a minor 7 anyway. So here, minor 7, diminished 7, into, let me see here. Yeah, this one looks like we got to change everything. Yep. Into the augmented 7. Now we're going from this major 7. Keep the first finger down as an anchor point. Now you could use your ring finger here. Actually, that does make it a little bit easier, I think. Okay. So those are those are the things I could think of to help transitions be a bit easier. Now let's see how well I can play this thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. On to number 3. Combining all your scale shapes on 2 strings. Let's change that to this. That looks terrible. There we go. Alright. Change the sound here. And away at 60 we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. You may actually find these easier doing the 2 string instead of the 1. It's because you're not having to shift up right away, up the fretboard so fast, because you're staying in like the same spot a little bit longer. It might actually be easier. Here we go at 100. 1, 2, 3, 4. $120. 1, 2, 3, 4. $140. 1, 2, 3, 4. $160. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll stop at 180. 1, 2, 3, 4. On to number 4. And here is 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you hit that 16th fret on the G string there. I'm only pointing that out because yesterday a couple times you hit the 15. Just want to be careful with that. Here is 100 beats a minute. So 1, 2, 3, 4. $120. 1, 2, 3, 4. $140. 1, 2, 3, 4. $160. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll stop at 180. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here comes number 5. top 2 strings. 1, 2, 60 beats per minute. Hundred. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. 140, 1, 2, 3, 4. 160, 1, 2, 3, 4. 180, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and the legato routine. Okay, so with this, each line is its own exercise. So in addition to like running your scales, you know, each day just to keep them fresh, but definitely start your practice routines, you know, where you're going to be doing your speed building stuff with these guys. You'll definitely get your fingers warmed up real well, and that's transfer over to basically everything that you do. But curious how this is going to work out. Do this for a few weeks, maybe even a month straight, and then kind of see how things go for you. So this is supposed to be done pretty quick. I'd imagine you should get your top speeds fairly fast. If you notice that, like maybe after a week or two, the speeds are going nowhere, then we should try something else. But what would be good is like have a speed log. Write down what you get each day, and then we can take a look at those and see how fast you get and like how the things progress, because that'd be very, very helpful. So if you could do that, I'd appreciate it. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate these at a few different speeds as usual. Let me see here. Okay, 60 beats a minute for number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. So make sure you're only picking that first note there. Alright, double time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 160. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 200. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely pushing it for me there without working it up. This is a weakness of mine, just constant doing these really fast. But yeah, something I can work on eventually someday when I get diligent with practice again, when I'm not building big old instruction courses. Anyway, number 2, 60 beats a minute, all hammer-ons. Make sure you pick on every down beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do your best to keep that index finger down like the whole time. Double speed, 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. I definitely do a little bit of a hop when I'm going from position to position, but you know, when you're doing the hammer-ons, by the time you get to that third note, all 3 fingers should be down. That's going to set you up for when you're doing your pull-offs. Alright, 160, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. $200. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ugh. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah, number 3. No, pull-offs. Back down to 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just make sure that you got all 3 fingers down for both pull-offs there. So make sure they're not doing that. Be extra careful there, because if they're not down in advance, you will lose sound and speed. 120, 1, 2, 3, 4. $160, 1, 2, 3, 4. $200, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So if you have any questions before our next class, definitely send me an email. I will have my laptop with me, so I'll be able to check things. Still have some stuff I gotta do, or I choose to do, when I'm out in old California. But yeah, good luck with everything, and I'll see you again in a couple weeks.